My name's Hugh Elsol and I am a model engineer. My late grandfather, my maternal grandfather, was a model engineer in Victoria, a very well-known one in the 50s and 60s, so I'm a descendant of Fred Pascoe. He influenced a lot of people in the Surrey Hills Live Steamers, which is now the Steam Locomotive Society of Victoria. And one of those people was David Hemphill. I'd always been interested in building live steam locomotives, but couldn't obviously do that when I was a teenager. And when I was in my 20s, I was going to university, so I had to put it on hold. And at the end of my 20s, I bought a lathe and I became involved in QSMEE as a model engineer. Yeah, no. I don't have it that way. Therefore, when I built my first locomotive, I was one of these people who wasn't a fitter, wasn't a turner, wasn't a boiler maker, and wasn't a sheet metal worker. I was a shiny bum. So I had to learn how to do these things. I bought all of the things that I thought would help me, particularly the description on how to do it, and the locomotive I chose was designed by a man called Don Young, who wrote in The Model Engineer, and he was a disciple of LBSC, and he described things in much the same sort of style that LBSC did. Nevertheless, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just had to learn from the beginning, like how to mark out, how to measure, and when I couldn't do it, I used to get onto the telephone. That's the only way I learned how to do it. If I didn't know how to do something, I asked somebody. And of course, at the club meetings or at the working bees, and I found the working bees were the most useful, I would ask people there how to do things. Once I got further involved in the locomotive construction, and Don Young's description, as I said, was excellent and enabled me to follow it. If I did come up to any tickly points, then I did have a couple of people that I could ring, and particularly David Hemphill, the late David Hemphill, who passed away this year, was a very skilled and clever man, and he had the answers to everything that I ever asked. So if I wanted to set the valves, turn anything, I wanted to know what a clearance was, I'd ring up David Hemphill and he'd say, oh, 3 thou. He'd just tell you straight away. When I came to build the boiler, he's an expert on boilers, and he was taught how to build boilers by my grandfather. Now, the early LBSC boilers in the 1920s were made out of copper, but they were riveted together and soft soldered, which is rather incredible to think of today. But of course, they were held together by the rivets, and the soft solder was just to stop leaks. So they were structurally strong, but they didn't tend to last all that long because the soft solder would tend to deteriorate. David Hemphill had a system that my grandfather had developed in the 50s, and I followed that system. So he told me how to make all of the plates, which meant that I had to make timber and steel formers to shape the copper, fit the plates, and then he told me how to rivet them, how to clean them up, showed me how to silver solder, and in the end I produced a boiler which is still in service today from 1986 and still running trouble-free. And that's really a sort of a snapshot on how a locomotive can be built.